Welcome to another Tears League episode on Cousin Cousin. Yeah, it's the second half of the season. Second half of the season. This is when man that's the fifth, fourth, fighting for seeding. This is when man they get swindled. This is when man to make the wrong decisions. This is when the pressure to really kick in. So this is when I'd actually really lock in on people to see how good they is under pressure. But again, I stress it enough. If you don't draft good, you cannot trade. I say this right now. Everybody think I'd be like, Mountain, I want you to just trade to trade. Nah. You can go a whole year without trade. You can have the best team. And you don't have to trade. But I can tell you this. I stress trading because if you end up drafting bad, which is a possibility, if you end up having a team that just happen to be hurt all the time, it's a possibility. Can you dig yourself out of the mud? Or are you just I don't again, my tiers league, I don't do people that don't try. If you're losing, whatever the case may be, you just that's the year. Nah. That don't work in my tiers league. You gotta figure it out, try get out the mud. And it's stressed enough. You gotta know how to trade. Because every year is not the same. You're not going to have the same year every year. Especially in Big 12. That's all I saying. That's all I stressing. But with that being said, like I said, second half of the year, let we go straight into Big 12. Starting off with the week 11 results. This is your road week once again. Me versus Kareem. I took that matchup right there. Kimoy versus Gino. Kimoy took that matchup also. Ju versus Chris. Jumari took that matchup. Then we had Richie versus Shamoy. Richie won a close game. Then we had Vashel versus Iva. Vashel won that matchup. And then Rain versus Plucky. Rain won that matchup right there. And with that being said, this is your week 11 GM of the week. Goes to Mr. Richie Camacho. Hi, big guy. See you. You like Mountain. Make sure you take a good picture of me. I like dog. I hate man to do that. Let me do my job, bro. Let me do my job. I have to tell you, dog, I is a GM of the week. But let me have to do my job, fam. Good job. GM of the week goes to Mr. Richie Camacho. And this is your Big 12, Week 12 power rankings. At the 1 we have Mountain, at the 2 we have Kimoy, 3 Ju, 4 Shamoy, 5 Rain, 6 Chris, 7 Gino, 8 Richie, 9 Plucky, 10 Vashel, 11 Kareem, and 12 goes to Iva. And on your right is the Big 12 standings. In the East we have me at the 1, Kimoy at the 2, 3 Shamoy, 4 Chris, 5 Rain, 6 Vashel. And then in the West, we have Gino and Jumari tied for 1 and 2. Plucky 3. Kareem and Richie is tied for 4 and 5. And Iva is at 6. When it comes to these standings, I tell you this right now, that East, that 3 to 6 ain't secure. Ain't secure at all. Like, whoever don't have a bad second half of the season, it's tough. It's tough because Vashel team is really good. Rain team is really good. Chris just make your team better. Like from 1 to 6, that East is legit. It's legit. Like I don't even know who I would want to play as the 4th seed if I get the top seed. But it's tough. And then in the West, Jumari, Gino sinking. I keep this shit a buck. He in a 4-game losing streak. Gino is sinking bad. He gotta figure that shit out, but he is sinking. Jumari right now playing really good. I'm not being biased. I don't know how I feel about Plucky team. Richie team is really good. He just hurt. Like he don't have Luca right now. Like his team is just hurt. So I think when it comes to the West, is really between Jumari and Richie, in my opinion, right now. Gino not far off, he's there. But as far as if my opinion, I feel is Jumari and Richie were the best teams in the West. Then I would say like Gino right underneath them, and then that Plucky Kareem, that gonna be tough. That gonna be tough to see whoever reached that 4th seed. And the crazy part about Plucky and Kareem, they're fighting for Demotion watch. Like they're fighting for Demotion watch. So speaking of Demotion watch, let me go straight into the Demotion watch for this week. When it comes to Big 12 Demotion watch, we can't find Kareem Dragon. He can't find any Dragon. That means he's doing a little good. I'll be honest with you, it's tough. It's tough because when it comes to rain record, even if you don't make playoffs, it's kind of hard. It's really kind of hard to say rain get demoted because it's like damn near any team that's in the East was in else, they probably have the best record or the second best record. Like all jokes aside, so it's kind of hard to grade his record or his performance because in my opinion he has a way better team than Plucky and Kareem, but I wouldn't be biased about the situation. So right now it's really hard to say who will get demoted in Big 12 because Kareem is he's doing really good. He's like over the last month, 5 weeks, to my opinion, he's been doing really good. So I don't know. We see how this shit goes. Things change down the line. So a couple weeks from now, we'll see how it is. Here is your Richie's Big 12 parlay for week 12. We have me versus Plucky, Drew versus Chris again, rematch back to back. Rain versus Iva, Kareem versus Shamoy, Richie versus Vashel, and Gino versus Kimoy. And on the top right, that is the results from last week when it comes to Richie. Right now he's 43-66 and he went 5 for 6 last week. Jamari versus Chris. Chris have to beat Jamari. Chris cannot afford to lose to Jamari at all. Kareem versus Shamoy, another important win. Kareem have to beat Shamoy. Richie is on his ass. And then Richie versus Vashel. Two guys have to win this week. But yeah, this is an important week for Big 12, especially for a lot of these lower seeds. And this is your week 11 results for tier 3. We had Jimbo versus Manny. Jimbo won that matchup. We had Draco versus Jed. Jed won that matchup. Ras versus Chabo. Ras won that matchup. Ernie versus Turbo. Turbo won that matchup. Bread versus Risha. Risha won that matchup. And Ricky versus Ish. Ish won that matchup also. And for your week 11 GM of the week, we have Miss Risha Lawrence. Yeah, welcome. We have Richie and Risha. First time on the GM of the week, and it's only week 11. And a statement game. You don't know what it is. A statement game. You get something to prove against that person you're playing. Talk your shit. Guess what happened? Smack in the face. Statement game goes to Miss Risha Lawrence. And this is your week 12 tier 3 power rankings. We have Jimbo at the 1, Turbo at the 2, 3 is Jed, 4 Ricky, 5 Ish, 6 Risha, 7 Ras, 8 Bread, 9 Arnie, 10 Chabo, 11 Draco, and 12 goes to Manny. And your right is the tier 3 standings. In the east, we have Jimbo at the 1, 2 Ish, 3 Risha, 4 Ras, 5 Arnie, 6 Draco. In the west, we have Turbo at 1, Ricky at 2, Jed at 3, 4 Chabo, 5 Bread, and 6 is Manny. So my little take when it comes to tier 3, I will start off in the east. After it, Jimbo probably is going to win he probably going to go 19-1, 18-2. Like, from the look at his schedule, I don't see he losing that much more games. So he probably going to secure the best record for tier 3 going into the playoffs. But when it comes to that 2 to 6, it's tough. Like, it's tough because I don't feel 2 that much better than 6. I don't feel as far as like team goes, it's not that much better. So again, these next couple of weeks is important. You can't lose. Arnie right now, he is sinking. And he need to figure it out. Risha was in the mud. One thing I'm gonna applaud her, she was in the mud early. And she figured it out. She found a way to get out the mud. But in my opinion, she have a really good team. Like, she's been scoring really good for the last couple of weeks. Now Arnie, he's in a situation where he's in the mud. But he's in the mud in the second half of the season. It's tough. You gotta figure it out. But in my opinion, it's good because this is when you can figure out if this GM is really good or not. But let me see how you can figure out how to get out the mud. And then when we talk about Russ, I ain't gonna lie, he's going two different routes, and I can watch him in two different areas of his game, and I gonna speak on it in tier 2 more. But in tier 3, he's doing really well. He making good trades, he making good pickups, and he really built his team up into something good. So again, it's tough. And as you can see, Ish just beat Ricky too. So like, he tough, man. It's tough. It's tough in the East. When it comes to the West, that 1 to 3, any one of them, I feel like is a no-brainer when that top 3. Like, I feel like gonna be one of them to make it to the finals. Don't get me wrong, Brett doing really good. I feel like he being too complacent, like especially like he make a big trade, you get rid of Embiid, but it's like, what's your next move? Like you just stay in a star. Like, you can't, if you building your team, you can't make a big trade like that and then don't make other trades to fix your team. Like, it don't work like that. When it comes to Chabo, he made some moves. I can't speak on him yet, but he makes some moves, couple trades, and I just need to see how we do this week and see how his team look. But as far as him, he and Bread, that 4th seed is not safe because again, Manny too, he also made some moves. And we just gotta see, because that 4th seed is not safe. Manny can get that 4th seed, Bread can get that 4th seed, Chabo can literally not make playoffs. But as far as Tobo, Ricky, and Jed, it's tough because if I wouldn't want to play, I wouldn't want that 2 or 3 spot, because I wouldn't want to have that first round. That's gonna be a tough first round. If I is Jed, I don't want Ricky or Tobo. If I is Tobo, I don't want Jed or Ricky. If I is Ricky, I don't want Tobo or Jed. So you really want to secure that top spot in the West. And when it comes to the Demotion Watch 4 territory, we have, I'll be honest with you, as far as like Ross goes, when you see the 2 slots open, it's really one, because Ross probably gonna take that slot. So when it comes to this 1 to 4 list, it really looking like it's gonna be, as far as right now, it's gonna be Draco to get demoted, and it'd be just one person from tier 2 to get promoted. And 9 times out of 10, if Ross already promoted, if Ross doesn't win tier 2, then it's probably gonna be whoever wins tier 2 get promoted, probably. So that's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. But if Ross win, I get to pick who I want from tier 2 to get promoted. And then before we move on, this is your Geno's tier 3 parlay for week 12. We have Risha versus Jed, Ross versus Tobo, Ernie versus Bread, Ish versus Chabo, Jimbo versus Ricky, and Draco versus Manny. As far as Jed and Risha need that matchup right there. That's a big matchup. That's a big game. I ain't gonna lie, that's prime time. Then we have Ross versus Tobo. Ross need to win that game, bro. You need to win it. And then Arnie versus Bread. Man, oh man, Arnie cannot afford to lose to Bread, and Bread need this win. That's an important matchup. Chabo Ish, damn near all these games is important, but I wouldn't stress the Chabo Ish too much. But Chabo need to win that matchup, especially the trades he make. You make all them trades, you need to secure a win. Then Jimbo versus Ricky. I think this is the matchup of the week. This is a big matchup. If Ricky don't beat Jimbo this week, that man probably gonna go 20 and 0. He probably might go 20 and 0. And then Draco versus Manny. Both of these man need a win. They both 6 seeds in their conference. They need a win. And then on the top right, that was Gino's scores from last week. He went 4 for 6. And with all of that being said, let's move on to tier 2. Starting off in tier 2, this is your week 11 results. We had Bash versus JP. Bash won that matchup right there. Brandon versus Rich. Brandon won that matchup right there. Lock versus Demoy. Lock won that matchup right there. MJ versus Ian. MJ won that matchup. Grove versus Javon. Grove won that matchup. And Ross versus Jordan. Jordan won that matchup right there. Then going straight into your tier 2 week 12 power rankings, we have MJ at the 1, Brandon at the 2, Jordan at the 3, 4 is Lock, 5 is Ross, 6 is Grove, 7 is Bash, 8 is Rish, 9 is Javan, 10 is JP, 11 is Demoy, and 12 is Ian. On your right is the tier 2 standings, and in the east we have Jordan at the 1, Rish at the 2, Bash at the 3, Javan at the 4, Demoy at the 5, Ian at the 6. In the west we have MJ at the 1, Brandon at the 2, Russ at the 3, Grove at the 4, JP at the 5, and Lock is at the 6th seed. And it's funny because, like I said, I start off in the west. Lock took this team and they didn't have a win. He's literally on a 4-game winning streak, and in the west is tough. I've been stressing it. This west side is really tough. 1 to 6 is really good. It don't matter who you play, it's going to be tough. I would say this though, I feel like JP kind of sinking more than the rest as far as when it comes to 1 to 6. And you don't want to play Lock in the first round. If you're the top seed in the west, you might want to think about not playing Lock in the first round. Because in all honesty, he has a really good team. He built such a good team. And then when it comes to MJ and Brandon, they probably have the best teams in the league. Like, you don't want to have one thing about it. You get a top seed, you want to have the best match. You expect to have an easy first round. And note to self, I feel like both their teams are still better than his team. But their teams is really good, but I wouldn't want to play him in the first round. From right now, like if the playoffs was tomorrow, I wouldn't want to play him in the first round. When it comes to Russ, he building his team different in his league. He need to watch himself, because again, this is a tough division. You trading for a bunch of hurt stars, yes, cool, and you building your team, but at the same time, don't sleep on Grove and Lock or JP. Like, you can't afford to be losing when they winning. So that's my only take on them. In the East, don't really have much to say. Don't have much to say when it comes to the East. Jordan having a good year. He has a really good team. I won't take that away from him. But when it comes from 2 to 6, I'm just not a fan of how they're playing this year. If I'm being completely honest with you, don't really have much to say when it comes to the East. But as far as Demotion watch goes, it's looking like it might be Ian and Demoy. Like, Lock already secure Rashid's spot, and I don't even know if Rashid gonna be in tier 2 again next year or tier 1. So it's like, when it comes to Demoy and Ian, ain't looking good for them. They might be demoted. If it was like if the league had ended today, they probably would have been demoted. They just have to show me more. Like, 2 of them, they just gotta show me more. They're just sinking. Like, that ship is sinking. But we're gonna move on to Chris tier 2 week 12 parlay. We have Bash versus Grove, Rich versus JP, Ian versus Brandon, Javan versus Rush, Jordan versus Lock, Demoy versus MJ. And the top right was Chris score. He scored a perfect 6 for 6. I ain't gonna like, cause locking right now. Cause say he want next year. He want that free pickup versus Gino and Richie. He want it. And speaking of the race, this is your tiers parlay results for Big 12. Richie is 43 and 66. Gino right now is 41 and 66. And Chris took the league, 44 and 66. Yeah, cause look at him, smile up. You're in the lead. But that's really it for your tiers parlay results. And let me move on to tier 1. Tier 1, Lock show why he didn't tier 2 killing right now, and nobody and he level. Lock took the matchup right there. Dylan versus Gillo. Dylan won the matchup right there. Slick versus Marcel. Slick won a big matchup right there. Then we had Joseph versus Kerry. Kerry starting to catch himself. Kerry won that matchup right there. Chad versus Winston. Chad won that matchup right there. And when it comes to those two, Winston doing really well in tier 1. But Chad low-key smooth. Chad smooth. I ain't gonna lie to you. Chad smooth. Then we had Rhino versus Rich. Rhino won that matchup right there, and he's starting to catch himself. This happened last year. He started off slow, and man started to win some games. And then for your week 12 power rankings for tier 1, Luck at the 1, Pure at the 2, Chad at the 3, 4 is Marcel, 5 is Slick, 6 is Winston, 7 is Joseph, 8 is Dylan, 9 is Kerry, 10 is Rhino, 11 is Gillo, and 12 goes to Sharif. And then we're gonna wrap it all up when it comes to the Demotion watch for tier 1. As you know, Demotion watch for tier 1 is promotion watch for free agent league and beginners league. Right now we have Rhino, Joseph, Sharif, Dylan, and Gillo and the Demotion watch. So that right there is 5 spots open. Kind of really 6, but Winston gonna secure that spot for tier 1 next year. So in beginners league we still have 3 people. We have Clay, Watt, and JR. And then in free agent league we have 5 people now. And the promotion watch, we have Ashley, Ryan, Top, Craig, and Sai. So they're gonna be tough, but we have 8 people on the promotion watch, but only 5 spots. I ain't gonna lie, next year tier 1 gonna be really good. I know for a fact next year tier 1 is going to be really good, but these are some good GMs that might get promoted. But man, with all that being said, it's gonna be a lot more talking because we're in the second half of the season. Gonna give Ayo. I have a lot of information now. So I remember when I tell Ayo, beginning of the year, I don't really have much to say because the year just started. But now, second half of the year, pressure bust pipe. But that's it for your power rankings for this week. I'm out.